Peace to the family. Today, I'm coming back with you, and I'm talking about a little West African politics. I'm so excited to be talking about this subject because the news of Ibrahim Traoré, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has set the internet on fire. And people are now interested in the politics of a very beautiful country and a country of beautiful people, Burkina Faso. I'm not going to limit my scope in this video to Burkina Faso proper, but I'm going to be talking about all West Africa. But it's in regards to the attempted assassination attempt on Captain Traoré. Okay. Again, I am a Pan-Africanist. I've been a Pan-Africanist since I saw the word written on side of a building at the Atlanta Curb Market here in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. I made a video a couple days ago talking about the same subject, but I've seen so much TikTok and other things that I'm coming back to you and giving you a holistic perspective of it. I've written a few notes, so if my eyes drop to my notes, that's just me giving myself some reminders of where I need to be in this conversation. Okay. First of all, I lived and worked in Cote d'Ivoire for 7-8 years. Cote d'Ivoire is the neighboring country to Burkina Faso, Mali, and Ghana, right? And there's a lot of Burkina people in Cote d'Ivoire, Abidjan in particular, but the whole of Cote d'Ivoire, right? And that was by design of the father of the nation of Cote d'Ivoire, Felix Houphouët-Boigny, right? I'm going to mention his name, so hold on to that name, right? A little back on Houphouët-Boigny, the Honorable President Houphouët-Boigny. Houphouët-Boigny was considered what we would consider an accommodationist for France. But me being an African American, I'm reminded of the Canterbury Tales, Br'er Rabbit. Felix Houphouët-Boigny was a lot like Br'er Rabbit, right? He went along to get along, all right? And a lot of comparisons are made between Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Osejifo, the first president of Ghana, and other comparisons of Houphouët-Boigny are made from Ahmed Sekou Touré of Guinea, right? I want you to remember these names because these TikTok people, they just know Ibrahim Traoré. Maybe they can talk a little bit about Thomas Sankara, but I want to give you a lot of information in a condensed period of time so that you can go check these things for yourself and be a little bit more astute about why these things are happening in West Africa at this particular point, right? So, okay. They say that the bodyguards of Ibrahim Traoré were offered at least $5 million to betray Captain Traoré and the people of Burkina, all right? So $5 million in anybody's bank account is a good piece of change. So that shows you the level of dedication and loyalty that the Burkina Faso people have within the Burkina Faso armed forces and intelligence community, right? So just keep that in mind, that they were offered at least $5 million, allegedly offered $5 million, and they didn't take it. Okay. Now, where did this come from? there was just a conference, a Senate hearing, congressional hearing. I'm not sure if it was the Senate or if it was the United States Congress, but a 4-star general, Michael Langley, Marine general, who happens to be African American, was called upon to besmirch the character of Captain Ibrahim Traoré. All right, a little cultural note. The people of Burkina, they affectionately call Captain Traoré Ibi. That's his little nickname, Ibi, Ibrahim Traoré. So sometimes you'll hear me refer to him as Ibi, right? And that's all in a loving manner, right? And me being from Decatur, Georgia is Ouagadougou's sister city. So I've been loving Burkina for a long time, right? Walk out my house, I meet brothers from Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali on a daily basis. So a lot of the information that I get, I'm getting it firsthand from the people of these places. I'm talking about my experience on the ground, and just every day I speak with these people. I just run into them. I'm a magnet to it. Okay, $5 million. Why? Because we see a uniting of West Africa, right? Just like you had an Arab Spring in West Africa over the past, let's say 2021. You had a rapid succession of juntas and coups d'etats in West Africa. Also, you had some changes in political leadership on elections. All right, Ghana just had an election, right? Where that's 2024. Where Ghana had an election. Nigeria had an election. Last year? I think Tinubu is the new president of Nigeria. Mohammed is the president of Ghana, if I'm not mistaken. But check it for yourself. All right? But Ibrahim Traoré reminds us of prolific leaders such as Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. The assassination reminds us of Patrice Lumumba of of Congo. And we look at the present day situation of Congo as well. Congo as well as Burkina Faso are rich in rare earth materials, gold, uranium, lithium. We talk about the carbon footprint. Burkina Faso has long been a prolific user of solar energy. If you go back into it, former Vice President Al Gore and his group years ago, they bought a lot of land across the Sahel, and they planted these solar farms to send energy back to Europe and not for Africa and African countries. Some of these developing and emerging economies in Africa, not all of the homes are lit. Not everybody has access to electricity and running water as you do in the United States, right? So that's why the people are so loyal and so enthusiastic about leaders such as Ibrahim Traoré, is because they see the hope. They see the hope in it. Okay, so let me get back to where a lot of this energy is going, is where it's coming from. All right. I was speaking of four-star General Michael Langley in his address to one of the bicameral bodies of the United States legislative branch, right? So again, conveniently, we have a black man in uniform, four-star general. So, you know, he's been the subject of racism and you know, a lot of racism and hatred in his profession in the military in the United States, and especially during this time where they're removing the honorable service of all men of color in the United States militaries. We're talking about the Jackie Robinsons, the Tuskegee Airmen, the Native American code breakers, the wind talkers, right? The honorable Japanese Americans that served when they were being placed in internment camps in the United States. We're talking about Latinx, Mexican Americans, Hispanic Americans who served bravely in all of the wars of the United States. We're talking about the Harlem Hellfighters, you know, the 369, the 688s, women service persons in the World War. You know, my grandfather's a World War II veteran. So they're pitting an American black man, military man, against up-and-coming, burgeoning, what will be, Ibrahim Traoré will be one of the fathers of modern Burkina Faso, right? So just the optics of that, of they showing, oh, we're showing an American black man against an African black man to further divide the Pan-Africanist agenda, which is being proposed by people like Ibrahim Traoré, right? As well as Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Colonel Muammar Gaddafi is loved throughout Africa, but as we look at him through the Western lens, he's a pariah. Why is that? Okay, do your research, find out why. Colonel Gaddafi was trying to make sure that Africa was on one currency, backed by the mineral wealth of Africa. Okay, back to Houphouët-Boigny. Houphouët-Boigny was considered to be in accommodations of France, but Houphouët-Boigny knew the mineral resources of Côte d'Ivoire, and he made sure those resources stayed in the earth until the people of Côte d'Ivoire would be able to mine them for themselves and use the benefits of those resources to develop their country. People don't know this about Houphouët-Boigny. They always say, oh, he was an accommodationist. I just use that word, right? So the present leader of Côte d'Ivoire is Alassane Ouattara, right? Within the Ivorian political system, just like President Obama was considered to be non-American by the red guy, the orange guy, and said, oh, he's not a real American, he wasn't born in America. They say the same thing about Alassane Ouattara, in the sense that they say that Alassane Ouattara has roots in Burkina, right? He's from if I'm not mistaken, he's from Kong, which is in northern Côte d'Ivoire, either Kong or Odinè, one of those two, right? So Alassane Ouattara basically came to power. He was appointed by Houphouët-Boigny. He was tapped by Houphouët-Boigny. He served as a chairman of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, all that. He was groomed for that position by the first president of Côte d'Ivoire, all right? But there's a lot of controversy surrounding Alassane Ouattara. One of them is, again, that, you know, he wasn't born there, but that's not true, because the way that the lines are drawn, it's all based on European hegemony. but they exploit it for political purposes, right? All right. And Alassane Ouattara came to power during a struggle, a lot of ethnicities in Cote d'Ivoire. So basically, he was backed by France against one of the beloved presidents of Cote d'Ivoire, Laurent Gbagbo, right? Okay. So now they're saying that Alassane Ouattara is behind the assassination attempts of on Ibi. Ibi made a statement saying that, you know, he loves the people of Cote d'Ivoire, and he's noted he's loved by the people of Cote d'Ivoire, right? I've heard all sorts of comments in the comment section because they have very beautiful women in Cote d'Ivoire. They said, oh, they sent those Ivorian women to tempt these guys, to get them to, you know, basically betray Ibi. They are right. Ivorian women are beautiful. So, and I've seen some beautiful Burkina Faso women as well, right? So, side note. A lot of people dislike Alassane Ouattara because he's married to Dominique Ouattara. She's a French citizen of Algerian extract. She's Algerian Jewish lady, right? When I first moved there, first thing I saw was this black man married to a white woman. He's a, you know what we call him, or whatever. But as I lived in the country and I watched her, Dominique Ouattara has built a lot of hospitals. I mean, high-tech hospitals, neonatal facilities that the country needed, right? So I don't doubt her love for Cote d'Ivoire, right? I mean, that's something that as Western people and victims of white supremacy that we need to check that sometimes and just look at people's humanity. And that's, you know, for me, you know, you got Pan-Africanist cats out here make jokes about it, no snow bunnies, and, you know, wanting to play in the snow and things like that. But, you know, people love who they love. And, you know, if you're so small that you can't let people love who they love, that the problem's with you. The problem's not with them. All right. So again, Alassane Ouattara is looked at as a puppet of France and the United States. Alassane Ouattara is a graduate of University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School of Business. All right, so he's an economist. And if you look at the Ivorian economy is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, if not the fastest growing economy in the world. And that's based off cacao, coffee, cotton, agricultural products. And that's not to talk about the minerals that they have in the earth, that they are developing a cadre of young leaders to be able to extract those minerals from the earth. The next leaders of Cote d'Ivoire are currently studying in the United States. They're studying in France. They're studying in the United Kingdom. They're studying in Russia, and they're studying in China. I know because I was an ESL professor, and a lot of my students were sponsored by the Department of Mining and Renewable Energy Resources, right? And I'm telling you, I had just as many young women that was recipients of these scholarships as the Christians and the Muslims. So a lot of the disparaging talk about Alassane Ouattara is because of politics, right? I have no dog in the fight. You know, I got friends in Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso who can't really speak openly about the subjects that I'm speaking of, and I'm only going to talk so much about it because I don't want anything to come back on them. And I'm telling you, both for those that are in the current government and those that are in the opposition, I've heard all perspectives. And, my prayer is always that God forgive them for their misdeeds and reward them for their good deeds for their country. And this is how I am, because, like I say, I'm not from the soil. My blood ain't been spilled on that soil. Well, my daughter is of Ivorian extract. Her grandmother is Burkina Faso. So I had a right to say what I want to say about it, because this affects them, right? So I don't like the TikTokers that, got the do-rags on. They never thought about Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso, any of these African continents. They just looking for likes and clicks. But I'm trying to share information with you. I got to get this shit off my chest, right? To be honest with you. Okay, but let's just look at it. This is something that I noticed from about 2015 to now. I think it was 2015. There was a big to-do on Bastille Day. You had the Malian army marching up the Champs-Elysees with the French army and the French Foreign Legion. And it was a big thing, man. And we're talking about 10 years later, Mali has pushed all of its French troops off the ground. Same thing with Cote d'Ivoire. The last French troops left Cote d'Ivoire, I think this year, last few months ago. But again, the conspiracy is this. I'm going to share this with you. What I noticed from 2014 to present day, that generally you have these terrorist attacks in the Sahel region roughly around the end of Ramadan or around Easter. I don't know what the intelligence community is doing, but if I can figure that out, I think they should be able to figure it out. And if you want to do your due diligence, check it out. I'll leave you with this one. There was a terrorist attack in Abidjan, well, not Abidjan, Grand Bassam, at a hotel called Étoile du Sud, which is the Star of the South. I stayed in this hotel once before. So I'm talking about the information I'm giving you. I'm giving you this information because this is the type of shit that I had to know in order to stay alive when I was living in Cote d'Ivoire. Not that, it's an extremely violent place, but, anywhere you are in this world, you need to have your head on the swivel, and you need to have your ear to the ground and know what's going on in and around the area in which you reside, right? But let's just jump back to 2014, around that area. 2015, I believe that's when that attack at the hotel Étoile du Sud was, right? And also, whenever you hear people in English talking about this, unless they are from Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina, or whatever, they probably don't know what the fuck they talking about. Because they speak French. And they would be speaking in French if they really talking. They'd be speaking in French, or they'd be speaking in their local language, right? So again, I'm telling you, they're better sources of information than me. And I say anybody that wants to respond to anything that I'm saying, I'm open to it. But again, like I'm telling you, I don't really play the partisan politics in countries that I don't vote in there. I'm just giving my opinion. I hope that it will enlighten some people to do some further study and get some more information. But again, I got to get this off my chest, because I got friends and family that are part and parcel to the information that's going on. right? You don't see me chopping and screwing RT1 television and France 24 and all of these things. You know what I'm saying? It's me and you talking, and you can go to these sources. You can go to France 24. You can go to Al Jazeera. You can go to RT1, which is a Russian sponsored channel in Cote d'Ivoire and in Burkina Faso to check this. But again, let me just go back over, a few things that happened in West Africa. September 2021, you had a coup in Guinea. Alpha Conde was deposed by Modou Doumbouya, a former French Foreign Legionnaire, right? You don't hear much about him now, but this was one of the events that kicked off regime change in West Africa, right? 2023, you had, 2024, you had regime change in Chad. Idris Deby went to the front line, got injured, and died as a result of his injuries, right? His son, Mohammed Deby, took over, right? 2023, August 2023, you had a coup d'etat of Ali Bongo in Gabon, right? People forget that one, but Gabon is a very conservative country. Been under military rule for a long time, right? So Gabon, Niger, Chad, Guinea, Senegal just had elections, elected a young man. I think he's even younger than Captain Traoré at 36 years old. I think the Senegalese president is 34. I'm not sure. Check me on that. And Ghana just had an election in 2024, right? So I'm excited that people are excited about what's going on in Burkina Faso and West Africa. But I do say that do a little more research so that you'll kind of know what's going on. Again, I didn't get a chance to really go into the aspersions that they're putting on Alassane Ouattara, that he's involved in it. But I will add this to say is that the last leader of Burkina Faso, Blaise Compaoré, the one that assassinated, that had Thomas Sankara killed, he came to Abidjan. He's in exile in Abidjan. Matter of fact, they had a trial for him, a hearing a few years ago where he actually went back to Burkina and stood for those charges against him. So, African justice is, it's advanced in terms of what we see in the West, and that's because of their capacity to forgive. That's dealing with their capacity to be honest with themselves. So again, like, subscribe to my channel, help me grow this channel. I'm a real Pan-Africanist, I'm not one that's out there trying to build schools and, I get it how I live, where I'm at. I cast my bucket down right there and get to it to bring you this information so that you can be able to make some informed decisions for yourself. I always tell you, keep an open mind. And when it comes to, it's my last thing, why they put Michael Langley up is because Alassane Ouattara has been in office for, a pretty decent amount of time. And I think that, according to the Ivorian Constitution, he won't be able to run for another mandate. And if they can put some shade around him, they can possibly destabilize Cote d'Ivoire as well. So be careful how you take a position, you know. Also remember that Alassane Ouattara allowed Laurent Gbagbo to come back to the country. I'm telling you, most countries, potential political adversary, to the degree that people love Laurent Gbagbo, in Cote d'Ivoire, it wouldn't happen. You know, it's different. It's different over there. And I'm just saying, take special notice and special interest and be able to discern greatly. Again, I'm interested from my partners from Burkina, Niger, and Cote d'Ivoire to comment on this, add on to it to the degree that you feel safe. You know, if you on the ground in Cote d'Ivoire, if you on the ground in Burkina or whatever, you know, you don't really have to say nothing. But if you abroad, you know, add on. You know, if you feel like telling me I'm full of shit, tell me I'm full of shit. You know, I'm trying to learn too. But again, like I say, all I saw was growth and development in Cote d'Ivoire when I was there. And again, like I say, I had students from all ends of the political spectrum, and they were being funded by the government of Alassane Ouattara. So you can't say that if you were from this party that you didn't get this and you didn't get that in that particular arena. And like I say, I wonder why, you know, these people, they love Gbagbo. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, all I know is they love him. You know what I'm saying? So who am I to say how they feel about their leaders? And it goes on the same sense. You got those that love Alassane and those that, you know, think he's a puppet of France. But if you say that he's a puppet of France, you saying he's a tool, prove it. One more thing, I know it's 32 minutes into this and it's longer than I generally like to go. But I will say this, is that there is a military installation in Jacquesville, Cote d'Ivoire, that the United States uses to train anti-terrorist units in West Africa. So now you have the United States trying to fill a vacuum for France in order to be able to keep an eye on China and Russia. And if you go to Abidjan, you will see that the Russian embassy is right across the street from the American embassy, Jesse Owens Boulevard. All right, so as you can see, and I've given you some facts for you to check, so you can see that I'm just not talking out the side of my neck for likes and clicks. I hope that you enjoy this video. I hope that you take a chance to fact check the things that I say. You know, I'm open to all criticism, all accolades. Hey, I'd like you to join my channel, like and subscribe, and share this video if you got anything out of it. A day without learning is a day without living. Peace and blessings be upon you and your family.